Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Ameya and we are discussing regarding Ultimaker Cura. In this video, we will talk about supports. So, what is basically supports? Supports are used in 3D printing to avoid your overhangs. Okay, so there are some designs where you cannot avoid overhang. There will be overhang in your system, and you need to make sure that part is getting 3D printed. Okay, so for that you will be needing supports, and supports can be avoided with your orientations. Okay, for sure. So let's discuss the same example which we are discussing in various videos. If I select this and I print like this, I will not require any support. But if I plan to print like this, then there is a problem. Okay, where is overhang? Overhang is in between this. So I will show you. Let's say we are slicing this without support for now, and what will happen is whenever it is getting printed from this layer to this layer, okay, there is no layer below the top layer. Okay, and that's why the material will fall down. Okay, so whenever you're trying to print a model, you need to understand the orientation of a model and how it will get printed. Okay, you need to visualize it how it's getting printed, and then you need to select the generate support option to add supports and make sure your model is printed in the proper way. Okay, so supports can be always avoided with the orientation, that is for sure. Then what happens when I do the generate support? So software will generate supports wherever it finds the overhang. So I am just selecting this option, slicing it again, and if you see, now the supports are getting generated from the base to the top part, and then my part will be smoothly printed on that supports. And once that part is printed, I can remove that part and remove those supports with the chisel and hammer, or maybe by hand also, depending upon the density of your support. The only disadvantage of your supports are supports makes your surface rough. So if you are looking for surface finish on a specific side of a component, you will try to avoid supports on that side. Okay, supports will be generated in the fastening elements also. So if you want to fasten something on your part, you will try to avoid supports on that in between the circle or the fastening position of that part. Okay, so basically we also try to control orientation depending upon where I need more strength in my part or where I need more finishing in my part. On that basis also we tend to select the support side or orientation of a model so that there will be less number of supports. So it is not only the orientation that matters because of the less time, less material and everything. It also matters on the smoothness of what side you need to a perfect smoothness. Okay, now let us remove this and let us understand there are two different things in supports. So I am just adding one more file. Let's say a character A. Okay, you can print it like this, you don't need a support. I am just changing its orientation to understand what are the different things are there in support. Now what will happen in this, this part is overhang and this part is also overhang. So whenever I say support everywhere, so I have selected this generate support option and I have selected support everywhere. When I try to slice it, preview, supports will be generated. Okay, let us insert one more part, one more character, that is E. Okay, and I try to rotate it and fix it. Let us move it, rotate it little bit, same as A, and let us place it just beside A. Yeah, so here let's say we are going for support everywhere option, and let us slice it and go to preview. Yeah, so what is happening here is it is generating support on this A side at the bottom. The top part is supportless because it is going into the system, so it is going the smaller angle, so every time the angle will be reduced and it will give you the perfect E. But this will not happen in case of E. After this, you need to generate a support for the top arm of your E. Okay, so this is support everywhere option. So system will try to insert support on all the possible overhangs in your system. So there is second option, that is supports only with touching build plate. But there are some cases in which you need only supports which are touching build plate. Okay, so I can select this option, I can slice it again, and if you observe, the supports between E are getting removed, but A is having that support. This support is there and these supports are removed. So touching build plate is the supports, whatever support system can generate which are touching to the base plate, which is connected to the base of your printer, only those supports will be generated. So this comes handy when there is an option of selecting touching base plate. Okay, so support everywhere will create supports on all the possible overhangs, and touching base plate will create supports only to the overhangs which are touching base plate or which are just above the base plate. Okay, so these are the two options. Most of the time we will always go with touching base plate option, sorry, everywhere option, but sometimes touching base plate option will give you the optimum results, so always look for these options. Okay, and there is something called build plate adhesion. Okay, so if I select brim, what will happen is my structure is created with the excess base layer will be outside with a width of 8 mm. You can change that width, let's say I want 15 mm. What this basically gives is, it gives the advantage of adhesion to my base. Okay, so depending upon the surface area of your first layer, the brim will be added outside that first layer, so that brim will help my component or my product to be attached to the base. Okay, it will not topple when it is getting printed, the top layers are getting printed. Okay, so brim is always helpful if you have a small surface area like this A character and E character. If you have very small surface area which is getting attached to my base plate, I will always provide brim into that, which will increase my chances of sticking my part on the base plate. Okay, then there are two options, that is called skirt. Okay, one line which will give you the outside element. How many skirt lines you want, you can go with different skirt lines, and that will basically give you the base part. It will mark the base parts. Then there is a raft option. So what will this raft do? So raft will give you the support for the 2-3 layers. Okay, so raft is good than beam. Yes, raft is always good than beam. It will create a base first at the bottom, and then it is generated, then part is generated at the top. But anyways, this raft is taking more time to generate, which is not my part, and it will create above that part. So it is very difficult to remove that base part. It also affects my surface finish at the bottom, and basically it takes more time to generate the excess part of a raft. Okay, so there are three options, that is skirt, brim and raft. Most of the time you will be preferring brim because of the simplicity, and raft you will only use when there is very small surface area and you want to build some base for that surface area before starting your first layer. Okay, so these are the three options which are available with build plate adhesion, that these options will help you to increase build plate adhesion. Okay, and most of the time you will go for brim or none. Okay, if you go for none, there will not be any build plate adhesion, and that basically saves your time, but sometimes there are chances of object being toppled. So always it is preferred to have a brim option. it will not generate that much load on your timing and material. So brim option is always selected to get your objects printed with build plate adhesion. Okay, so these are the two options which you have in supports and build plate adhesion. So select carefully your orientation so that less number of supports will be generated, and also select orientation depending upon what kind of strength you want in your part. Okay, so supports will generate the rough surfaces on your product. So if you are looking for a perfect finish, try to avoid supports in those regions where you are looking for a perfect finish in a product. Okay, and same thing goes for the build plate adhesion. Build plate adhesion helps you to stick to the build plate, but select the orientation so that it will not affect your actual product. Okay, so this is all I want to discuss regarding your supports and build plate options, build plate adhesion options. If you like this content, do subscribe my channel, follow my channel, and do share a word about this channel in your with your friends. Okay, thank you for joining.